This is Bill coming at you from Santa Monica, California. I still haven't gotten one I like yet. Um, yeah, that's something beautiful. Oh, goodness. Time to go to the beach. uh, so, first thing this morning, two things happened, both of which I don't like. First one, which led to the second one, there's a guy that comes by once every 2 to 3 nights, depending on what day of the week it is. He goes, I call it canning, and you used to be able to go canning around here, because people have put they're not going to go to these people aren't going to the recycling place. They don't even want one here, which is the story that ends up happening. They got rid of the one that was closest because it's a revenue for the homeless. And what better way to get rid of the homeless than make sure that you got no revenue? So now it used to be right around the corner from me, and now it's, I guess I've never been there. I think it's on 15th and Wilshire, which is halfway across town. So there's no way I'm going to it. And that period, I'm just not. My wife and I used to do it in Florida. Yeah, we did it both. We did it in Florida and in Maine. And I'd do it with her because she wanted to do it. And there's no way all the effort was worth a nickel to me. Just no way. And that's not going to change now. So, but she wanted to do it, so that's fine. If it made it, that's the kind of stuff I can handle. If that makes her day, that's my kind of person. So, I have stories about her. I mean, it's not a wonder her family thinks I'm so horrible because of the way she was happy to live. I told her build a house wherever she wanted one. She built a house on the ocean, and nobody knows about it. Nobody but me. The only other person that knows about it is her. And she took it with her. And that's why it's still there. It will be for as long as it can be. I've made sure of it. And I come up with, I think, a pretty good use for it. I'm way off the story, but I'll finish this story and then I'll get back to that. I'm gonna donate it. It's close to it's not real close, but it's close to the hospital in Portland, Maine. So I'm gonna donate it to 4 houses to house families. Whether they can afford it or not is irrelevant. But it's got, like I said, I think before, it's comfortably fit at least 4 families, and not the whole. I mean, immediate families. That's the only thing I'm concerned with. But it could easily fit that, as long as everybody got along and used the kitchen and laundry and all of that together. And I think they would. But that's who I'm gonna. I've already figured it out. No reason to discuss it. That's what it's going for. It's just gonna be called Jamie's house, and that's what it's for. And to help maintain it, if people want to, they can make donations for it. They can afford it. They can't afford anything. That's really what it's for, so that families can afford to not think about that while they're thinking about everything else. So that's what it's for, and she would like that. So then, what was I talking about? Uh, okay, this morning. Okay, so I get this guy that comes by, like I said, 2 or 3 times, and it's amazing. I'm getting better at remembering these things. And he's always nice to me, but after 6 years, almost 7 years, going state to state, living homeless, you get to know how to you get to know how to live. And I'm telling you, it's the greatest feeling in the world to be intelligent and not trained. I guess it is. That's what it is. And it's just what goes back to my story is I'm still work on things, but I caught myself this morning just doing it. The guy came. He always comes by at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and he knows. I told him anytime he wants to talk or whatever to wake me up. It's no big deal. And so he wakes me up. We get to talking about this, that, and the other thing. He likes to pick my mind. He's a hustler. I mean, I don't mind helping him out because he's going to make something of himself. So, and he's young. So, he reminds me of me. And to some degree, we got to work on his morals a little bit. But other than that, he's got all the other stuff. And um, he wouldn't be alive out here if he didn't have those traits. I mean, there's a reason I got the scar on my head. I just happened to survive it. But not not for lack of for them trying. Left 2 days in the woods alone to dead. That's, they thought they'd done a good enough job. But anyway, he came by last night and we were doing our bullshit talking, and this morning I couldn't find my phone. I found one, couldn't find the other one. And I lost my EBT card, and that has not shown up. So there's something about that that's not right. Still can't figure it out. But after looking in the 3 or 4 spots that it should be right off the bat, I started thinking of ways it could have been him. And I would never accuse anybody of it, but the thought of it is still bad enough. And that's what makes me come back to where I'm at, is because I would never say anything, I have to think of why I would even start to think that way, because if I'm not going to say it, why bother thinking about it? But that's part of the exercise I do to get to the other side, is you've got to be aware of, if you're not aware of your own idiocies, how can anybody else put up with them? If you understand what I'm saying, if you're unaware that what you're doing is upsetting people, it's part of my rule. If I tell you that it's irritating me, you're not allowed to get upset. So, same thing goes for me. If you're telling me the truth, I have to be man enough to accept it. It could be only you that it bothers. But if it bothers you, I have to be man enough to understand it and openly hear you. That's the only way it works. And and that all came about because I started to judge him in my mind. I literally was making plans in my mind of ways to catch him if it was him. But but I still haven't finished going through everything. now, now, the truck is a blessing and a, a rhythm breaker. Now I got a place to put everything. Oh my God. And everything usually has its spot. Now, oh my God. I have maybe a 4x4 square box and a 4 foot by 4 foot square box, the cab. But that's a lot of space for somebody like me now. And forget about the bed. Oh, there's all sorts of stuff I could fit in there. Until I get the exhaust fixed and I'm starting that thing, that's going to be loaded for all sorts of stuff I'm going to be selling right off the bat. I already know what that thing's for. I'm going to make money with that before it even starts. But, so it's the other thing is I get this, now that I tell you, I finished doing all my stuff. I do find my phone because I'm talking to you on it. This is the one I used when I can because I like it better. But anyway, I don't remember having done it. It doesn't surprise me that I would for this very reason. But I also have another reason why I don't do it, so that it's mind-boggling to me because I have a place to put it. These are the habits that I have to break. It's as hard to break as it is to get. And that's the problem. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to keep this from getting ticketed and all of that. So I have to start the process of claiming it and getting it to be movable before it starts getting tickets because I don't want to have to pay all those tickets. So there's a time is of the essence kind of situation there. But I know I got off the path again. Oh yeah, with all that stuff. But anyway, so I finally found it after looking through everything. I found it in my sleeping bag. That's when I started to realize what I had done to myself. My heart raced. I was panicking. I was blaming somebody that I get along with. All of these things going on. That, for me at least, I'm at least disciplined enough to never have said anything. But in an argument, all of that stuff, if I don't find a way to resolve it, could always come back out. Now that I have a resolution to it, and both ways, knowing that in this situation, I was right. But that doesn't mean the next time, even if all signs point to him, unless you saw it happen, you might as well get rid of those thoughts because they're not going to help you. Not ever. That's why I wanted to tell you that this morning. That's not a very, to me, it's a positive. It won't be to most people that see it right off the bat, but it is when you look at it the other way. And I still have to do it for myself because I found out I could do it after the surgery. I'm sure it's something that can be done just by training yourself, but I had to do it in order to learn. To just It was just, like I said, there's a couple of blessings in that scar, and that's hard to believe, but it is true, because I would have never had that. I am the happiest person in the world right now, and it is due to, I would never have reached this point without that scar. I had already forgiven the people that did. I know who did it, and I knew then. I knew when I was in the hospital, and when I went back there, it was not a threat or anything else, because I saw them, I talked to them, I know how they were acting. That's how I knew I was right. And I acted just as normal as could be. I had 52 days of thinking about everything and anything I wanted to do it. The fact that I was happy and the doctors were boggled by it was my incentive. The fact that they told me I could never walk again, you're talking to the wrong guy. So I did everything they said I couldn't do. And I wonder how many people are disabled. I am disabled, but not to the extent that the doctors. Much like our famous president here, uh, he's not really aware of this, but he knows he's an idiot. We know he's an idiot, but there are some people that still don't get it yet, and that's unfortunate. But when he says stuff so stupid that somehow injecting bleach into your body is, and I mean he looks at it like, why didn't you guys think about that? Because we know better, you dumbass. And but unfortunately, there are people that look up to authority that way. I never have. It's what people can't understand out here because I don't need to be out here. And but I wouldn't have changed if I hadn't done it. I would have. I would have been a miserable drunk the rest of my life. And like I said, somewhere along the way, because I was being a miserable drunk, absolute worst alcoholic you could think. But somewhere in there, getting whacked in the head, I had to learn how to walk and talk and read and write, and all of those stupid things. And not that bad, but it was sort of. I mean, you can still see it sometimes when I try to pronounce words. I can see it in my mind, but I can't put the words together through my voice. I don't know how to describe it, but you see me struggling with it. But I do get better with it. And, there's just been a lot of little things to, I mean, I call them little. I got one major one, and then the rest of this is all, man, no big thing. I get constantly getting things done to my throat. And it's just one of those things. Like I said, if I had to get worried every time, and my father, God bless him, if there is, he doesn't believe much in God himself. My mother did, and, but I don't know. My father's a unique individual. He didn't have a father when he was growing up, and like I said, we never went without. I mean, they said I asked for a lake house when I was, God knows, I must have been 9 or 10 years old. I don't remember, I think I was 14 when we got one. And remember, I'm thinking a lake house. I gave you the description of the lake house I'm thinking of. It's one of my father's partner's parents' house. It was a cottage, literally an uninsulated cottage on what I'm thinking a lake, which is a pond. And it happens. It turns out later in life it's where Jamie and I built our house. Well, not the same place, but 2 towns over. And I actually got to go back and meet with that person's mother. She was still alive. 92 years old, I think, when she passed away. But she remembered me. Um, I know I'm way off beaten path now. Oh, I was talking about Richard Head, President Richard Head. He just doesn't get it. And first thing, I want to have a question thrown out there, because it's our constitutional, it's a right. It's more an obligation to be able to vote. We've gotten a little complacent in that, and I have a bunch of reasons in my mind. I can't tell you that they're right or wrong. They're just theories, and I don't have any reason to share them, because if we were sitting one on one, I would. But you know, you got to wonder why the guy that is supposed to be worth in his accounting, and usually it goes the other way around. People like to uh, look like they're worth less than they are, at least the smart ones. But he wants to do it the other way around, uh, make it look like he's got so much more than he does. But he claims he's worth somewhere around 8 billion, I think is his number, and which is fine. I don't care. Anything over a billion is plenty. And I know he's got at least that. But I was wondering, why would somebody, because we know it's not to take care of the country. I mean, he's never he doesn't care about his own family. What's he going to care about the country for? I mean, everybody knew that when we said, okay, let him in. So I'm trying to figure out, as a country, what we were thinking. I told you I came up with a really good explanation, and it is brilliant. The whole idea of, the guy is brilliant, and he when it comes to bankruptcy. And like I said, especially we elected him. It was, I believe, I told you, it's karma. A bolt of lightning struck down, all full of karma, when when everybody was marking off Donald J. and he got into office. We didn't know about COVID-19 at the time, but we were gonna be so happy that we made that decision, because what better person? He's got the perfect ads running right now. I just saw one on YouTube about how Biden is tripping over his own Richard. And the two of them are Richards. Neither one knows what I'm talking about. And the oh, I swear to God, that's where I'm going. That's what I want to ask: is what happens if we don't vote? Has anyone ever looked into that? Because I haven't. I mean, if I had to vote, I thought about it last time, but now I'm really thinking about it, because when it was Hillary versus Trump, of the two losers, I already told the Clintons together when he was in office. I think that's the stupidity. The amendments have been overlooked. You finally get somebody in office that can run it, and 8 years is enough. It takes longer than 8 years to turn around a company, never mind a country. So that's just stupidity. So that's Amendment 1 that needs to be amended. It really does. It should be, there's a lot of variables, and I think it should be, let's see, about after 2 years, because we ought to had a new election after 2 years, but we would have mistaken, we could have been, if we had impeached him, oh God, what a mistake. I'm telling you, he's the guy. We're going right down the crapper, and he knows how to do it. he's telling you, when it, there had to be some sonic boom or some massive event that happened when the boats were struck. We have to look at some major catastrophic event happening when that moment happened that he was discovered president, because that's all of our good deeds coming in. Because without it, we're not going to survive COVID-19 without without somebody like him. And just as he's getting his hands on it, they'll be able to elect somebody worth having. So keep your eyes open for who's getting in the right position right now, and keep your camera up. Make sure you keep your camera up. We did it once, and we can do it again. Just keep doing it enough. America is still strong if together. United we stand. Remember that. Remember it. We did it once, and it was karma. It's just keep being nice. Doing all of the things we done. We're going to be fine. We'll get right through this. It's going to be sticky, but I guarantee you, when the Depression happened, the 28th, I bet you there was a lot of bad karma right before that. But we've got a lot of good karma because we did something right. We got him in office. And we're going to, of the two, he's got smear campaigns going out the yin-yang right now. So, and unfortunately, they're pretty believable. So, he's almost a good shoe-in for the next four, and that's perfect. Let him get in there and get his teeth onto something he knows. how to fix a country that's going upside down. Like I said, that $1 trillion number button is going the wrong freaking way. Not with him in office. Flip that baby around, because it's going to go there. Which is, what? Not pay you back? You guys are idiots. Hell no. And, but, that's anybody that loans us money after that, we're telling you right now, we're not paying you back. That's it. We just got to get that out there. And I just did. Take it for it. I'm telling you, America is going to tell you this coming November, Trump is in. We're telling you, we don't want to pay you anymore. So you can, if you lend us money, you're doing it on your own. You're not lending it. You got to give it to us in order to keep our economy running. And without our economy, you're screwed. And I'm telling America that. So, don't worry, people. There's going to be somebody that's coming to rescue us, and we don't have to pay, because we're too much money. And money, I told you, Mr. Kramer told me the golden rule, and that is, it's exactly right. And I knew it when he was telling it to me. I didn't know how much he was worth. But I literally, and I think that I'll tell you this story. This is great. I love this story. I was finishing off the main house with the main house. The main house has one bedroom. And it's the whole second floor. And the rest of them are basically like cottages. They're all individual. You don't need there's no kitchen anywhere. There's one kitchen, and believe me, the Kramers don't run down and make a cheese sandwich at 1 a.m. There's an elevator for the staff to go up and down to the bedroom to bring whatever they got to bring up. And the house is pretty cool, though. Well, oh yeah, the golden rule. So anyway, we're walking through the main, what do they call that room? I think it's called the main salon. It's the great room. That's what it's called, the great room. And which it is. And we were walking through out towards the ocean, and he explained to me the golden rule. Because we had just left the unit that that they were staying in, and I gave him the key to it, and I told him, I said, that's as good as it's gonna get. I said, there's a couple of things I couldn't do a little bit better on, but I said, that's as good as it's gonna get. He looked at me, son. He says, son, see this watch? He says, it's off 1 second a year. That watch cost me $350,000. I said, really? Yeah. So, no, I'm sorry, I got the story backwards. This was the day before I handed him the key. This is the day, that story's true, but before it's all true. I don't have to lie. The sequence is out of line. That's the end of this. The start of the story is the day before. I had already gotten to talking with them and knowing them, but just things I think that they were, looking back on it, I think they were testing me, what I was trustworthy enough of having around them, because I didn't know that, until then, I didn't know what that watch was worth, but it wouldn't matter to me. And I think I told you one time they have the ceramic things to hold the cigars up off the ashtrays for cigars. And I picked up one. It looked like a mint to me. Not what I'd eat it. I just wanted to see what the heck it was. And then when it's porcelain, or ceramic, whatever they are, it's white. And so I'm like, what the heck's that thing? So I put it back where it was. And I went back to whatever we were looking at. And she was standing there across from me and saw me. And she interrupts this whole meeting to tell me, she's asked for my name. She said, what's your name? And I said, Bill. She says, Bill, that thing in the ashtray. I said, yeah. I said, I thought it was a mint. She said, no, that's for Mr. Kramer's cigar to hold the ashes up. I said, oh. I said, is that what that's for? And I said, I'm sorry. And she says, for what? And I said, you stopped the whole meeting for that. She said, no. I saw that you wanted to see what it was, and you put it back. She said, I just wanted you to know what it was for. And I thought that was a little weird to enter. This is a meeting with, like, everybody. And I'm just a Finnish carpenter, you know. So I think she didn't do that on purpose. But, you know, I just don't steal. So I am very inquisitive, I guess. So then later I was asked to go to finish that one room for them because they were going to stay in the house. So I had, and I mean, they picked me, and so then the guy I was working for said, you know, they want you to go and finish off that room, everything. And he said, you know, that's where the Kramers are going to be staying until we finish, which at that time was months. And so that was literally their room as they wanted to come and go. We weren't going back in it. And so I show up in the morning. The first day I go in and start doing my stuff. The next day I show up, I still wasn't finished. I finished it that same day, but the next day I show up. And, you know, I'm not knocking on that door. So I just sit on there's a wall. It's all done out of real coral. It goes along, it separates you from, it's all got a roof overhead. It's beautiful underneath. And then there's a wall that's like 3.5 feet high, and then it goes to the grass. It's all checker patterned. And the grass it's got coral, real coral squares. It looks like a checkerboard. Well, not really, because there's not opposing colors, but it's all coral color with grass that is in between them, about 2 inches wide. And somebody has to actually mow that. I met the gardener when, I don't know if it's still the same guy, but the guy that was taking care of the two ficus trees that got moved. That cost a fortune. Literally, a fortune. And there's a really funny story to that one. But anyway, if he is still there, that's I was sitting in the carport on the steps to go into the house when O.J. Simpson was acquitted. That's the time frame. And it was a beautiful time of year, though. I remember working on that house. It was absolutely the beautiful, most gorgeous time of year to be working there. And you could actually, it's so close to the island, and the intercoastal, not the intercoastal, well, the intercoastal is behind you, then the island, and then the ocean. And out in the ocean, I never knew you could see it this well. I didn't know. I asked one of the guys I was working with, the Gulf Stream. I thought it was just something warm water flowed in the currents. It's so severe that it looks like waves crashing, but it all inside of it. It's not waves coming into the beach. It's waves being created by the hot and cold waters colliding as it moves all the way up to New England. And but it comes so close to where that house is that you can see it when it's on that active days. I'm sure it's not like that all the time, but the guy that I was talking with says, he's a big fisherman. He says you wouldn't even cross that. And and he's talking in a 70-foot sport fishing boat. He says he wouldn't cross it. He said it's just not worth it. He said you can fish on this side of it. On a day like this, you would never cross that. Not in that boat. Cruise ship will. Cruise ships like to get in it, and if they're coming south, going south to north, they get in it, and they get out of it to go back. And well, at least that's what he told me. But they do that just with their fishing boats. He says it literally, you don't even have to turn the engine on. He said it's better sometimes if you just want to save the fuel. Put your motor up if you've got it. And, I guess he said, the biggest reason you need it is if you needed it running is to be able to steer it. He said, it keeps you in it like a river. That's what he said. I've never seen it. He's not the kind of person to make that stuff up. So. It's an interesting. What was I talking about? Is that what? Oh yeah, I already said that. Oh no, I didn't. I was telling you about the rest of that. So I was sitting there on the wall, and see, I'm getting better. Sitting on the wall, and their butler comes up. I'm assuming for them, obviously, and he's got a menu for me. And I said, "What's this for?" He said, "The Kramers wanted you." They said they're not going to be out until around 10. Said they wanted to make sure you get something to eat. It's not your fault. But he said it's your job. They just wanted to make sure you got in bed. And he asked me to make sure if you wanted a newspaper. I said, "Mr. Kramer asked you to get me a newspaper?" Yeah. I said, "Okay. I like the Boston Globe." And he said, what do you want for breakfast?" I said, "You're being serious." "Yeah." Said Mr. Kramer said, "Whatever you want for breakfast." I said, "I want, what's my favorite? My brother makes it. Sausage and biscuits." He's like, you want sausage and biscuits? So it's what you want? Anything you can have? I said, yeah. I said, if anybody in the world can make something really good, it's going to be your cook. I said, I want to see what it tastes like from him. So he made it one. That's what I had. And then Mr. and Mrs. Kramer did come out. They were laughing at me. They said, you could have had anything. I said, I know. That's what I wanted. And so then they let me go in. And I'm in there doing my stuff. Like an hour later, Mr. Kramer comes in. And he says, have you seen my watch? I said, no. I said, I haven't. I said, where would you have left it? He said, I would have left it right there. I said, well, I haven't seen it, but I said, I wasn't really over on that side yet. He said, oh, it'll show up. Okay. So that afternoon I finished it. So he must have found it somewhere, because I never heard anything or anything more of it. And the next day he showed it. I assume it's the same watch. But it's a beautiful watch. It's a big, huge emerald kind of watch. And but what was I saying? Oh, and that's how I ended up when we were. So that was the end of that day, and I was finished. That's as much as I could do. I went back to the other stuff I was working on, and when we were walking across that's when we walked through, and he's taught me about the golden rule. And everybody always thinks the golden rule. He's like, it's the guy with gold makes the rules. And that conversation, I think, came about because the cost of moving those trees. The cost of moving those 2 trees would easily buy you. It'd buy you a lakefront, oceanfront, or a riverfront home. Not of your choice, but you'd have plenty of choices to pick from. And because I just know what it cost. I don't know the exact numbers. I just saw what it took, and I know what I know what I saw, and I know what equipment it took, and I know all of the things that it took to get those 2 trees to survive, and it wasn't cheap. So, and I know a few stories along the way that make it even more expensive. This has got to do with the dune line. And that's where those 2 trees came from. And it's not secret. It's not like the city to state and government doesn't know. They all know. That's where the golden rule came from. At least that day. I guess somehow then, to me, that was funny enough for me. It made me, I always smile when I think of them. Like I said, I don't know what they were like in personal life. I'm sure you can't be living in a house like that and talking with people like me on a regular basis. But that's how they treated me, is just as normal as I told you. Taking Mrs. Kramer downtown. She didn't ask anybody else for that. And I think she was mad at me for laughing, to be honest with you. But, yeah, and she was the one that I came on my Harley one day. She didn't think I'd drive a Harley. She said, I thought you were more refined than that. I said, there's doctors and lawyers that drive those things. She said, yeah, I thought. She'd never say yeah. say, yes, William. I thought. She would never ever say expected. She would always say, I thought. I would think, or I thought. Or I would have thought more of you. Okay. Anyway, I got to get my day on. I don't even. It's. Oh my God. Bye bye.